got these two ponies in. They're going to be driven in competition. Whilst they was here, we started driving them in the usual rubber bits we use. And we didn't have any of our own manufacture. The ones we have made for ourselves are quite thin. Well, it's about the same as a normal bit in size, you know. The ones you can buy in are, you know, they're quite a bit fatter. The trouble is with a little Shetland, they're a little bit large in the mouth, and I noticed that this horse on the near side, this pony on the near side, was uncomfortable, didn't want the bit in, so I looked as best I could and felt as best I could and decided to call the vet to come out and just certainly file their teeth and just have a look. And what this one on the inside's got is he's got a gap between his premolar and his first molar. So the problem is with that, it was a gap filling with food. So when he come here and cleaned it out, it smelt quite strong. And obviously they can't floss, can they? So, you know, so I think it's just his age. I think the gap will, well, so does the vet, thinks the gap will close up, you know. It's just the teeth settling. So, yeah, so I mean, I'm not really concerned, you know, to any great extent. So what we've done is we've just left their head collars on and are driving them off their head collars without a bit or any blinkers. So we've set the head collars so it's on the skull of the pony. You know, a lot of people, like with some bitless bridles, will come down on the cartilage. So if you look at a skeleton, an actual bone structure of a horse's head, they put it on the cartilage. Well, obviously it can be painful. You can inflict, you know, a painful, you know, a pressure that's painful on them from that. So anyway, we just got them in these open things. It's their first time out in them, because they only come yesterday. We had them out just before, I should say, that's not the truth. We had them out just before, just around, you know, around the yard and that, a couple of days before. Anyway, they're going there in a nice, and obviously they can see all around, like this one's having a look. And they're funny pair of ponies like this. This one on the offside, will hold this weight on its own all the way downhill. The other one's forward going, so he will hold it, and he is now. You can see his pole chain's tight, but he don't put the effort in. He will do in a couple of days, you know. But the other one's saying, "Come on, help me stop this weight." So I've got no brakes on, as you can see. There's good babies. So you see them going along here nice. Come on up, you come here, little one. So they go along quite happy. I can use my stick. I don't use a whip, as you know, most people know that. I have to have a whip just so I can swish it, so they get used to it. So if you're out on a drive or at a showground and they hear a whip, you know, going round next to them, that can upset horses if they've not heard it before. But we just keep this little fella up here, little girl. So two little mares, nice ponies, and a good match. You know, not only in colour, but they're good match in stride. As long as I keep this one on the offside up. And all this is brand new to them. You've got to understand that this is the first time out on the public highway. You know, bitless and blinkerless, I suppose. So, but they're going perfectly happy, and they do what I ask. Walk. So they've got to go away at the walk when I ask them. You know, like that. And they've got to basically do. So what I want them to do is behave in exactly the same way as if they've got a bit in their mouth. Otherwise, where's the point in driving or riding? Bitless come to that. They've got to behave in exactly the same manner. So do what you want them to do when you ask them to do it, basically. That's what they've got to do. So if I come over here now, like that, come over, babe. That's it. And I'll turn them right round in this road. Come round, baby. I've got to come right the way round. Come round here again. Come on, round you come. Round you come. Come on. These good babies. And that's beautiful, you know, that's absolutely lovely. You can't ask for more than that. And this one on the near side, I should tell you, doesn't come to the left hand side. On the left hand rein he doesn't answer it very well. Or she doesn't, they're two mares, sorry. I'll get into trouble for that. So she doesn't answer to the left hand side as well as she will do, but where she had this one side of her mouth, she's got this gap both sides of her mouth. You know, she's got the gap both sides. So, but one side was affecting her more, so she didn't want to turn to the left, you know. So a bit of that is still in her because she's waiting for, although she hasn't got a bit in her mouth, although she hasn't got her blinkers on, and we've changed it completely, she's still waiting when I pull on that rein or put any pressure on that rein at all. She's waiting for it to hurt, you know, so she's a bit wary of that. But she's going like absolutely lovely. Well, they both are. This one's got a nice head carriage, the other one will come to it. This other one actually had a bit of a kicked the cart a few times and got yourself in a bit of a tizzy, you know. Come over, darling. That's my baby. That's a good girl. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, my baby. Yes, you are, my darling. Come over. I don't talk to horses a great deal. A lot of people think I talk to them all the time. I do at this stage of training. They want to hear my voice. You know, it gives them some solace. They're happy and they're comfortable. Come over. So here you can see, right, I want her to turn to the left, yeah? Now she's just not objecting exactly, but if you watch carefully you'll see what happens. So when I want to turn, so I'll take this rein up and I'll just pull it a little bit. Come round, baby. Right, and you can see she's just on the pole a little bit too much. I wanted a step away from the pole to be independent. So what I'm saying by that is the pole is being forced round by the other horse, yeah, and she's having to have the pole as an extra guide. It's a bit awkward to explain. You've got to, you know, you've got to understand or done a fair bit of driving perhaps to notice it. I don't mean that in any conceited way, but so if I do that again, if I bring them over to, so let's do it this way then. If I bring these horses to the right, no trouble at all. The same move to the left, it struggles a little bit. Can you see, although the horse's head is turned, we're not going over there, are we? So this horse, this side, is pushing the pole. This pony, the offside pony, is pushing the pole over with its shoulder, which in turn is causing the near side pony to turn left. So if we do that again, if I come across here, look, no trouble at all, yeah? Pony come there, nice gap between both of them on the pole. When I turn this way, right, you're going to have to put his shoulder on. That one was better actually, picking it up, yeah. So that's what we'll be doing, is giving a few little turns like that. But you cannot force, because that little pony thinks that's going to hurt its mouth. We've got no right to, you know, you've got to kid the pony. We're supposed to be the one with all the brain. They've got a little tiny brain, small brain, you know. They've got no frontal lobe, so that you can't look at horses the same way as you look at yourself. They see the world in a different way, in my opinion, a lot different. And they respond to kindness, yes they do, but also you've got to have discipline. So just like you discipline yourself to clean your teeth in the morning, get out of bed, go to work, whatever, that's all discipline. Yeah, we take these poor little things out of the wild. I don't mean in that field there or in a field, you know. I'm talking about the wild, when they can move from here to Scotland if they want to. And there's only a natural barrier that will stop them, forest, crevasse, you know, a mountain, a forest, a river, big river, whatever. So we take them out of that environment, we ask them to come and live in ours, then we should get it right with them and make it so safe, confident and happy. It's what I've always said. And to drive these two ponies, they're talking to someone over there, look. I just said, come and see what we're doing. So if they go along like that with just head collar on, with no bits in their mouth, out on the public highway, and I can drive them in a safe, sensible manner. There's a motorbike speeding up here like mad, God bless him, nothing wrong. I don't want to slow him down, I'll wave him on. And because one day when these ponies are out, there's going to be a motorbike come, you know, screaming round the corner, and not every driver is as obliging as that fella. He slowed right down as soon as he saw him, and that's going to happen. So we don't mind that, obviously. That's what we, you know, if you like, we go looking for. We look for the heavy traffic, the awkward things, the unusual things, the tractors, the loads of straw when they come off the field in late summer. You know, come over, baby. Come over. Come over, darling. Come over. Now you see there, look, that's interesting. I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm doing and talk to you, but that's interesting there. So when I've done that, he pulled that rein back out my hand. Look, he's doing it now. He give it to me, or she give it to me. I'll keep calling these boys. Come over. Come over. A friend of mine that we broke her ponies, she's got, come over, darling. Two the same, and I'll get muddled up, I think. So it's coming over nice there, but you can see the offside horse is turning its head lovely towards the curtain. I've got that little bit of pressure on, but the near side is not doing as it will. Argues a little bit, but that's just because he's expecting it to hurt. Then it yielded. Then look, come round beautiful. Then you can see it's, you know, the side view of its head. Yeah, and that's like quite involved. You've got to know what you're doing, because you can mess this horse up for life. You know, this little pony very quickly. And you just got to do it gently, you know. Come on, baby. I mean, in an emergency, if something come round here and I had to get them over there, obviously I wouldn't be out on the public highway if I didn't think I could steer them. I can, but I wanted to do it like I do everything else, a nice gentle touch. And it's waiting for it to hurt, and that's the problem. So the more miles we do with these little head collars on, the better it's going to be, obviously. Come back, 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 come back. Now you see there, that is exactly what she was doing. I'll get that right in a minute. What she was doing when the bit was in her mouth. So she's, oh, it's obviously it can't hurt her now because we're outside of her mouth. She's got nothing in her mouth whatsoever. But she's thinking it's going to hurt. That takes a little bit of time to get over, yeah? So, come back, babies. Come back, darling. Come back. 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 Walk on. And you notice when she pulled away then, she come to the right. You know, she come to the right when she walked away. Come over, baby. Come over. Come over. So her head come to the right as we pulled away then. You see, if you look at this little pony on the other side, it's very, very free. It moves its head round. Lovely. This one's expecting it to hurt. And that's a shame. You know, a damn shame it is, really. So this trip we're doing is around the 4.5 mile. And we've given a nice walk and a wash it, and they're coming to their job nicely. So I'm going to ask them to hold it down here now. Steady, baby. Steady, my darlings. Steady. So they're holding it just nice down there. And what I want to do is I want them to hold it and to trot downhill, yeah? With no bits. And you see that horse just toss its head then? That little pony. So I mean, that's that pony's little mind. He went, you know, last time I come down a slope like this, or last time I that hurt me. And they remember things like that, you know. Can you see there? Look, take this off me. That's what it's saying, really. But then when it thinks about it, all that didn't hurt. I moved it around. It wasn't nothing in my mouth anymore. and it takes them a little time to, you know, realise that it's, you know, it's not going to hurt. So they're coming down here and holding this back just nicely. We're going to trot once we get past this car a little bit. And still get them to hold it back. Trot, boys. Come on in. Trot. And still hold it back nicely. And that's nice. So give up shaking its head now. 1, 2. Yeah. No, there's no. When it's what I'm trying to say to you when I say it's give up, it's lifting its head, but it's not the pressure. It was pulling the reins hard, or harder than that, put it that way. So yeah, that's lovely. And if you look as well, when you steady, my baby, steady now, steady, that's it. So when you look at these ponies, you've got to look at so many things. I've been driving a long time now, and obviously training horses for a good many years, more years than I care to think about really. But it's, you know, if people say to me, you know, could they do it? Well, anyone can do what I do. The only difference is the experience. You can't give that to anybody. It's a very hard thing to give to anyone. And a lot of people say to me, I've watched your films and, you know, I've learnt so much. What you've got to learn is to read these horses, and they're all different. You know, and if you can, I'd like another lifetime to get it right, you know, or to be better than I am. But the thing is to take 2 ponies out on the public highway, as we have today, in just their head collars, and the reins just, you know, put onto the head collar. There is no cantilever, there's no pressure any more than you'd have if you was leading a pony on head collar, yeah? And you wanted it to stop and hold it back, so there wouldn't be any more pressure than that. But if you look at their tails where they are, and their ears the way they are, yes, they're going around picking up information, but they're not back on me all the time, you know, all wondering what this carriage is behind them, being frightened by it. They can see it when I turn their heads around here. You can see they can see it, of course they can. You know, a horse with his left eye can see his right quarter. You know, when he's got his head upright, he can see his last quarter without turning his neck. You know, if you look in your books and look on the sight line, you know, for horse, when you put a blinker on them, or a blinder or a blinker, blinder they call them in America, you know, you're taking 80% of their vision away. So why am I able to do this? And as I say to you, anybody can do it, but you've got to learn, and it's taken me a long time to learn to read a horse. So before I start on it, and before I, you know, start his training anyway, I'll sit with him in the stable, quietly in the evening, you know, preferably when we've got something in the oven cooking that I haven't got to go in and cook. You know, something that I can just come in like a casserole or something. And I'll sit there with him in the evening, and that's when I'll get to him. A lot of people ask me exactly what I do. It's basically I'll sit there with them, but you've got to know what you're doing, because you can get kicked very easily when you come down to that low level. You know, with a big horse or a pony come to that, you're very vulnerable, and you've got to know what you're doing. I would never recommend anybody do that. But we do experience days. People come, and you know, we do experience days for different things. So if you want to learn about, you know, how I see a horse and the, you know, what you're looking out for. Like for instance now, this one on the outside is more like it, right? If something come around the corner now, it would put its ears back. Now why would it put its ears back when the problem is in front of it? What is it's putting its ears back and asking me, have you seen this, Dad? Look, what's coming? Is it all right? And first off, you've got to talk to them. You know, first off, you've got to talk to them. So it's all right, mate, I'm here. Don't worry, I'm here. And I've noticed today, you know, driving like this, come over baby, very good boy, it doesn't put its ears back anywhere near as much as it would when that car comes round the corner, because it can see me and knows I'm here, so Dad's there and the world's a wonderful place, yeah? And you've got to understand, when any horse comes here, they don't know they're only coming for a few weeks. How are you going to explain that to them? You know, in a lot of ways they feel like they've been abandoned by their owners, so I have to step in pretty quickly and become whatever they need, you know, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter what names we give these things, but what it is getting a relationship going with them, that they trust me, they do what I ask them to do, because I never force them. I ask them to do it. And I mean, obviously with some horses that are really spiteful, you've got to be careful, haven't you? Obviously, you know, they're going to bite you, and you've got to stand your ground, but you've got to know what you're doing. And it's taken me a lifetime, seriously, to get that right. So I had someone say the other day, can you make a film of what you do from start to finish? Well, I could make a film from what I do to start to finish, and they would sell by the thousands, yes. But I won't do it, because first of all you've got to realise every horse is an individual, and this is where you learn about your horses, their body language, the way they behave, how much their ears move, do they out floppy to the side, are they back, are they forward most of the time, their tails, they're not tucked under, yeah, the whole demeanour you've got to understand. And then when you understand that, you then find they're all different anyway. So what one does might be a thing, might be a warning, not a swish of the tail necessarily, that might not be their warning. Not their ears laid back might not be their warning. But you'll see them tighten round themselves, and they'll put a buck in without them other two pre-warnings. So it shows so many things. That's why you can write a book on how to break horse, yeah, and I know they sell and all like that nonsense, but none of them tell you what to do when it goes wrong. What they will say to you, well, you didn't do it properly. Well, you've done it what the book said, exactly what the book said. You've gone, you've established, you've done all these things that the book say. That's why I don't write one. I could do that, of course I could, and sell thousands of them, but that's not where it's at. We're going to do a series of films, actually. We're just starting a new series of films that we're going to do, that and they would be on a certain subject, you know, or a certain part of training, and try and have you say, so, you know, when you get, we'll say you get one horse and that's no good. You've got to have, when I was out in Canada, we had 4 very different horses. You know, their temperaments were very different. It was one stock, a Mustang, I think they call it, out there, a wild horse anyway, off the prairie, and we had one of those, and we had blood horse, we had pony, we had a real sharp little pony, you know, like highly bred pony, acne pony. I always had a bit of acne in it anyway, and we done the same thing with all of them. Basically got them to stand still at the end of a rope, just with your voice, and no other age, you know, no bloody whip with a bit of plastic on the end flapping that about, or, you know, and all this pressure and release nonsense. Pressure is pain, make no mistake about it. All you got to do is put a Liverpool bit or any driving bit, a cantilever bit up your arm, put the bit on top of there like that, and the chain underneath, and then twist it and see how much it hurts. Put it on there, on this bone here and there, you know, just there in your forearm, represents horse's jaw pretty well, really. So it's 2 bits of bone covered with a small amount of flesh. Well, in fact, your arm's got a lot more than horse has in its bars. So that pressure and release is, in my opinion, just my opinion. But if you don't believe me or you think that's wrong, just, you know, try it. Just put, you know, put the bit, as I say, on, put your thumb up in the air so you know you've got your, so keep your thumb up in the air like that, and then put the bit laid on the top of your arm and the chain under the bottom of your forearm. Adjust the chain as you would for a horse with 2 fingers gap, yeah, and then just turn it a little bit. Just turn it a bit, and that is painful. And then if you don't mind, it's, on top of that, it's got a rough side and a smooth side. Well, if I drive all my horses, stallions, mares, mixed teams, all sorts, they come here, they have a rubber bit right from day one. Even if they're runaways or had an accident or whatever, they still go in a rubber bit. Because my belief is that if they'll listen to me and do what I want, it's far, far better than, well, I don't want to, it sounds like I'm being, but it's inflicting pain. That's what you're going to do. Put it up your arm and see. And any bit's the same. Any cantilever bit will inflict, well, any bit will, obviously, because it's metal. So if we use rubber, or in this case none whatsoever, and they're doing the job, and they've got no blinkers on, so they obviously see me behind, can't they? Obviously, sat here. But don't think that this is a massively big thing. I suppose it is in this country, but when you go abroad, you often see horses. Belgian. I just come back from Holland a while ago, and you'll see some draft horses out there working in an open bridle. It's what they get used to. They'll get used to anything, and they'll do anything for you as long as you can explain to them, make them understand what you want. Keep the discipline there, yeah, but be kind. Give them a little bit of time to get it, to understand it, yeah. So my little pony on the outside here now, we come round that corner, and there was a little bit of pressure on her quarters, and straight away, see her now, look, it makes me laugh. She goes, I know what he wants me to do, he wants me to hold this back. So you got one pulling it forward a bit, and this little pony here's gone, right, that's what you want, Dad, isn't it? So I've got to tap her up, come on, that's enough now, good girl, up you go. And get her back in draft, yeah. And she's learnt that, to hold the vehicle back much quicker than this one. But this one had things to contend with in its mouth, so it wasn't obviously paying attention in the way that we wanted it to. But they're going nicely now, no bit, no blinkers. 2 nice ponies as well, nicely behaved ponies, nice in the stable, very friendly, very easy-going things. But of course, when you put them under this sort of pressure, that can change dramatically. Often a pony that's very, very quiet to handle, as soon as you take it out of that, shall we say, comfort zone, that's not really the right word, or the right way of putting it, steady baby, but as soon as you take it out of there, it makes it real difficult for them, What they know and understand, they can cope with. What they don't is a problem. That's why you got to steady, my darlings, steady. So got no brake, I'm not even covering the brake, and I just say steady now. Just walk, darlings, and they come back to a walk. And that's just lovely, And this is their first time out. The teeth were done yesterday. I had them in head collar, just head collar, and stood them outside in the cart and drove them just around the yard, within the confines of the yard. Which, you can do a pretty big figure of 8 there in our yard. And it's good for them as well, because they've got to, avoid everything like the corners, the walls, the weighbridge, where we store some of the carriages. They've got to avoid all that, and then we put some little bits and pieces down. We maybe put. Now this pony now is moving its head, but that's nothing to do, and this is just experience. I've got no way of proving what I say, which is unfortunate. But that there was more to do with I've got an itch on my face, yeah, and it's a little bit frustrated. If you notice, then I'm just wind your film back and just noticed then it opened its mouth when it looked at its mate, yeah? So it's got a bit, wants to stop and scratch its head, you know. See there, look, see what I tell you? So that's what it is, nothing to do with it. It's up round its ear more than anything. Yeah, what I tell you, straight up round its back of its ear. And what they're doing, they're getting a little bit of sweat on them now. Where we've had a trot and a walk and a trot and a walk. And they're not that fit yet. You know, they will be a lot fitter, and this trip that we've done won't be anything to them. Also, there's a certain amount comes from, this is all new. Do you see what I mean? We're going up the road, there's all this traffic. I can now see all around me, everything that I couldn't see before. Bearing in mind, as I said to you, we take 80% of their vision away. Yeah, 80% of vision is lost when you put blinkers on horse. So they're seeing 80% more than they did before, aren't they? And all sorts of bits and pieces going on. So, and this is, we come down this way earlier on, and there's horses just to the left hand side of us here, and they could smell them. Well, the wind's going in the wrong way now, so they can't smell them. But they might well come galloping over to the gate because they can hear their feet coming up the road. But this is really, really lovely. A nice little pair of ponies. They're going to make good, like little competition ponies, and they'll be good. And this one here on the near side pony has got a little bit more sweaty than the other one. That's due more to the fact that it's carrying a bit of weight, you know. And this one slimmed down a little bit since it's been out, and this one's not as much. It was a bit heavier when it come, but they're both just coming to, you know, nice weight for working ponies, you know, which is obviously what they are, working ponies. They're going to go in competition, and the lady that owns them is a lovely lady, and she obviously does understand them and knows our horses. You know, a lot of people think they know their ponies or horses. Or put it this way, the way people perceive, the way they see their own ponies or horses that they bring to me is not always the way I see them, and quite often isn't the way I see them. So they'll say, oh, they're really naughty, or they're, you know, they don't do this and they don't do that. Well, if they're asked in the correct manner, now I've got a squeaky brake here, I've just touched my back brake, so I'm going to use that to make a noise, yeah? Oh, it's gone now, there's a little squeaky bit on there. Sometimes, you know, when they get wet, we just splash for a puddle back there, they'll make a bit of a squeak. But these are going happily and lovely, and yeah, no blinkers, no bits. I suppose I'd like to think one day I could do it with no reins. That'd be good, wouldn't it? And you do see people do that, but if you notice any of these people that put on a demonstration with horses, 90% of them have got a schooling whip, yeah? I'm not saying the horses get whipped or anything like that, I'm not saying that, but they use the schooling whip to give them the cues to what they want them to do, you know. Which that's fine, I've got no problem with that. But, you know, when you see someone who doesn't need to use any aids, I certainly need these reins. Make no mistake, I'll be the first to admit it. But at least we ain't got any bitting and we ain't got any blinkers on, so that proves that it's in the training. Anything you do with horse is, and when you get horse home, you know, after it's been to the trainers, the training must continue, and you've got to listen to what you're told, you know. So, for instance, if they, when it's been with a trainer, like if, all right, let's talk about here. If they come here, they walk on a lead rope quietly next to you. They do not move in front. When you stop, they stop. When you walk backwards, they go backwards. Yeah? They don't turn from left to right, but they just walk back in a straight line. When you're home, you need to do that. You don't go home. Well, you can. They're not my horses. They belong to everybody else, don't they? Obviously, they can do what they like with them, but we never feed them tidbits. We don't talk to them a great deal. Once they're coming to the end of their training, we cut the conversation between the two of us just down to requests. Asking them to do something. I.e. walk, trot, canter, steady, meaning slow down at whatever pace you're at, slow down and come down to the pace you was doing before. So when you go to them, when they're cantering along and you say to them steady, they come back to a fast trot, then they come back to a trot, and then they come back to a walk, a fast walk, and then they come back, or walking on, and then they come back to a walk, and then you say to them walk, so they stop, and then if they move you say stand, right? If they move again you say stand still, and then in the last time they're with us, that's all they will hear, and that is in their heads. Now if you say to me, do they understand them words? Don't think they do, no, particularly because you can say it's the tone of your voice, the inflection in your voice that gives them the cue of what you want them to do. In my opinion, obviously they understand, walk better than banana, but with the right inflection you can get them to do what you've asked by not even using them words. So that, it's getting a bit deep into it, but it's perfectly true. If I say to these now, for instance, right, bananas, banana. And if I just, say to them now, I want them to go faster. Rhubarb. And if I just ask them to stop now, I'm going to put a little bit of brake on so we don't push them forward too much, and ask them to stop. Coconut. Walk. Just walk. So it's in the inflection in your voice, not necessarily what you say. When I've got these young ponies and I'm doing them, and I'll talk to them quite a lot, and I'll talk to them, soft and gentle. There's 2 ways, or there's 5 ways in my book of how to talk to a horse, or 5 different inflections in your voice, and the only one I use and I say to people is a duvet. Duvet's nice and soft. Imagine you go and have a nice shower, get into bed, lovely clean sheets and duvet, snuggle down lovely, innit? Nice, soft, gentle, yeah? Drop a glass in a kitchen on a hard floor when you've got half a dozen people in there having a chat. Everybody freezes. You'd think the glass was going to come up and bite you, wouldn't you? Until it's all swept up, because so that's a much sharper voice, if you like. So I say, broken glass and duvet. Duvet's nice and soft, and I talk to these little babies, these little children we have come here with us, little baby girls like these 2, and I talk to them. Oh, that'll do. See me tone of voice in. All I said was that'll do, and they come back to a walk, And if I say to them, I'm going to try and do it now and show you, because they're just ready to start learning jig jog. Now, why do we do jig jog? So that's a very, very slow trot. Right, so I started them the other day saying it, never got much reward, but we'll just try it. Jig, 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 come on, jig, jig, jig. Real slow trot. Barely a walk. I mean, just look at this grass verge going past. You could virtually walk at the same speed, you know what I mean? So they're going real slow there. Steady. Now trot. So now there's a trot. Now we're going to go trot on. Now I'm going to bring them back, although we're going uphill, to a trot. Steady. Steady. Come on, trot. Now a jig. Steady. Come on, hey. Come on, hop, jig. Yeah, that's not bad. I hope you can hear that. You can hear it if you can't see it. You know the difference in speed. And these are just babies. They're just learning. They've been with us, I don't know, 3 weeks now, I suppose. Steady, baby. We was held up when they first come because they didn't have a great deal of foot. By that I mean they needed shoeing. For the training we do, you know, obviously we're out on a public highway, so we couldn't do a great deal with them. So they didn't lose a bit of time exactly, but we didn't get off to a flying start, let's put it like that. Our farrier's, you know, brilliant. He comes at the drop of a hat, and, you know, he's always there for us. But in this particular kind, he hurt his hand. So we had about you know, we couldn't get on as much as we wanted to. Lost about a week, you know, getting on. We still obviously done other work with them, obviously. And we took them round, and that's, you know, taught them the lead rope thing, you know, walk when you're told, da-di-da-di-da. Going round, showing them bits and pieces, like the arena, the bridge, not doing anything with them, but just going to let them see it. Definitely not walking them through it or walking them over the bridge, never do that. The first time they do that, they've got to do that because you asked them from behind. Because when you drive a horse, everything is from behind. So it would be daft. You wouldn't prove anything, put it that way. You wouldn't prove how your training's gone if you was to walk them through on a lead rope, you know, through the obstacles, you know, through the scary bits, like the bridge, the tunnel, the balls hanging down, the, you know, all the bits and pieces we have over the arena, flags flapping and all. You wouldn't do anything if you walked them through, no good. What you've got to do is the first time you take them in there to do that, you've got to walk them up, you've got to be sitting there on the carriage, you've got to walk them up to it, let them stand there, let them investigate, and cajole them, kid them to go through. Not smack them, not whack them, not scream and shout, just kid them to go through. Once they get their noses on it and they investigate it a bit, and they get their head through them, you know, them insulation pipes we have hanging down. Once we do that, then, you know, I'm just keeping an eye on this also. I've got to, you know, obviously when I'm doing this, I'm still learning about them, how she's behaving, this near side one. Just want to, you know, make sure she's happy. And she's happy enough, yeah. So I'm sorry if I keep breaking off and wandering a bit, but that's my job, is to do this. This is secondary to tell you what I'm doing. It's obviously secondary to it. They come first and it's got to be done right. And if they get 10 strides in doing something that I don't want them to do, then it's going to be much harder to correct it. But if I can correct it at 2 strides, steady, steady, that's it. Steady, steady, that's it. Yeah, they're going to make 2 cracking ponies, these. I'm very pleased with this near side horse because it's hardly started, as I say, throwing its head about with a rubber bit in, and pretty good. I mean, obviously you can tell the difference between the two and the one that's had the problem, but it's not been anywhere near as bad as I thought it would be, and we haven't gone that far, you know. So I'm going to use this paddle here because I want him to come through here. I keep saying these, calling these like they're boys, they're 2 girls. But see that there? Through that old paddle, and they can hear the carriage behind makes a funny noise on the tyres. Yeah, that's really good. Alright, this little fella now wants to get up this hill. and all I've done is just applied a tiny bit of pressure, a tiny bit. You can see the reins bouncing around. And no, I don't want you to trot. So one's willing to walk and the other one wants to trot, and I said no, we're going to walk up there. It's just nice and just gentle with them, no screaming or shouting. Just want you to walk up here, and if they'll lay on that collar together and work together, they'll learn to work together as a pair. Yeah, you can see that one, if I let go, would want to get up, but the next 2 or 3 times out, that'll walk up any slope I want it to, up any steep hill I want it to walk, because that's what I've asked it to do. And that is absolutely beautiful. That's probably one of the best parts of this drive, as far as I'm concerned, as the trainer, because that's come up there lovely, and we're still going uphill, and now I can let go of the rein. That is absolutely beautiful. We're still going up, it's the same pull. We're not to the top yet, and they're going up there because I've asked them to. That proves it. No blinkers, no bits, no hands on the reins, and they're just walking up there sweet. Absolutely lovely, that is. And we're nearly home, and that's a lovely thing to happen. What a lovely way to finish a lesson. That seriously is a lovely way to finish a lesson.